I am Ben, welcome to my book corner. Today we're taking a look at another recent release. Fake Dates and Mooncakes came out in the middle of May of this year, and I really liked this one. This one hit me in the feels in a way I didn't expect. So in case you don't already know how it works, we're going to start by looking at the story, going to a little bit of the world building, the characters, and then my thoughts at the end and spoilers. I think you should definitely read this one. Let's just jump straight into the story. So the primary character in the story is Dylan Tang, and he is a young man, 17 years of age, who's juggling school and working at the takeaway that his family own. At the start of the story, they're slightly understaffed for a night, and he decides to go out and do some of the deliveries, and one of the deliveries he makes he's actually quite late to, and they make a mistake with, and the person he's delivering to is incredibly rude. However, a very heavily undressed young man in the background tells the person who bought the takeaway off and told him not to be rude. Comes to a couple of days later, and the person who was telling the other guy off turns up at the takeaway to apologise in person, and Dylan sort of becomes infatuated with this person who is called Theo. Lots of other stuff happens. The takeaway is struggling for money at the time. There's also a mooncake competition going on, basically to bake mooncakes, and whoever wins gets a spot on a highly prestigious cooking show to take them to an eatery of their choice, basically. Due to the fact the takeaway is struggling, Theo arranges for a cash grant of £5,000 which covers the issues without telling Dylan about this, and in return he says, well, if you think you owe me one, you can come on a date with me to a wedding. As it turns out, however, Theo is not just any kid. He is the son of a Fortune 500 company owner who is involved in a bit of litigation with his sister, I believe it is. And snaps get taken, makes various different news outlets, and then you have very much the rich kid going out with the poor kid, and the family not really approving, not because of money but because they think that it could be damaging to their image, and you've got the sort of battle to stay together and the cost of that. It's a perfectly normal trope, in all fairness. This isn't something you're not going to see elsewhere in terms of the bare bones of how it's done, but it gives it a really strong structure, and it keeps along quite well. In addition, there's some other characters you meet in this that help flesh this out really well, and there is some backdrop of drama here, so good stuff. In terms of world building, you get the basic stuff around New York, but a lot of us already know that. The interesting stuff around here is around Asian culture and various different myths and information about the different foods and the actual foods themselves, and that adds real depth to the story and the characters, and is very much the driving focus for the story in a lot of things. And you have this sort of investigation of heritage, as Dylan has been brought up with a very close family where they've explored this heritage and has experienced it, whereas Theo's mother died at a relatively young age and he never really got a chance to experience any of that, and that acts as quite a grounding thing as they learn off each other, and it really does enhance the storytelling of this one. On to the characters, and if I was going to be harsh, I would say that the two mains of Theo and Dylan are too good to be true. They are far better people than they have any right to be. They're both incredibly talented in their own way. They're almost the perfect couple automatically. That being said, there is an interesting ensemble cast around them, and whilst there is a lot of different people who don't get a huge amount of time, largely due to the size of the book, they all play their part really well to help emphasise the strengths of the two main characters. And the thing that really works here is the chemistry between Dylan and Theo. you actually find yourself really rooting for them. You want them to overcome all these hurdles that they start hitting. You want them to make the awkward move on each other, because it's a fake date after all. But it's very clear that Dylan would really like it not to be, and there's enough playful flirting to suggest that Theo thinks the same. And at the end of the book, it's a really good, satisfying conclusion for the characters as well. The two main characters are what make this for me. As I say, I was really rooting for them, and it really hit me in the feels, this one. It is because of the way they played off each other, even if perhaps they are a little bit too perfect. So look, this goes in high A tier for me. It doesn't go on S tier simply because the two main characters probably are a little bit too contrived in how good they are, for want of a better term. But that being said, this is the first book in a long time that has had me tearing up in frustration and happiness. That's probably an indictment of my current mental state, but this book had me like very early on, but certainly from like third of the way through, you wanted Dylan and Theo to overcome all these things. And a book that makes you feel something is a good book at the end of the day, and I highly recommend you try this one out. But that's Fake Dates and Mooncakes. Have you read it? If not, why not? Go read it now. Once you have, come back, tell me what you thought in the comments below. I'll catch you all next time.